Well, hi everyone, and welcome back. I'm with Supervisor Richard Forster. Richard, thanks for stopping by. Tomorrow you've got a meeting with the Board of Supervisors. What are you going to be talking about?
Oh, some very important things. First up, we'll have Mark Benini, our Chief Probation Officer, and Sheriff Martin Ryan in to talk about AB 109 and impacts and developments there. And basically we're talking about any changes in the formulas for funding for AB 109. And this involves, if people don't know, the money that comes to the state to fund our jail and probation services and all of those inmates that came from the state that are non-violent, non-serious, non-sexual offenses. And of course they've shifted a lot of offenses now so that they are non at the state level in order to qualify them for meeting these requirements. So some of these people have very serious backgrounds.
Okay. Now, this has been on for over a year now. Is that what we're talking about here, or are we talking about maybe an update? Because I think I understand there's going to be a possibility of a lot more prisoners maybe pushed back here to the Amador County prison, if you would.
Well, to all prisons, to all, and we can't call them jails anymore because they are prisons now, because you have inmates that are well over 2 years now, in some cases up to 20 years in some counties have been sentenced. But basically we're going to talk about the caseload growth here, the possibility of counties receiving another 10,000 inmates from our governor and the administration. It's very serious for our county and for all counties, and how we're going to manage this, because we're having a tough time right now managing this only through the coordination between our probation office, our sheriff's office, our county office, and our court system within the county, that we're able to manage all of these inmates that have come in. I got to tell you, the recidivism rate that's occurring and the probation violations are huge. So.
Okay, I want to ask you to hold it there, and if it's real important, we'll go back to that. We're going to take our break, and then we'll be back with Richard Forster discussing tomorrow's agenda on the Board of Supervisors. Stay with us.
You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN.
Hi everyone, and welcome back. Richard, is there a lot on the agenda, or would we like to go back to that first item?
Well, this kind of ties in with another item. The AB 109 discussion kind of ties in with item number 10 on the agenda, which is a discussion of possible action relative to health realignment budgets. So because those health realignment budgets are impacted by what goes on at the state level, obviously how much money we get through health realignment, but how much of that money has to be spent on our inmates too, because they are considered, under our California County Medical Services Program, they are considered an indigent status, so they are eligible for their health needs to be covered under that also. So it all ties together.
I'm going to ask you kind of a general question. It seems that California's fiscal health might be, looking a little bit better in the numbers, but is that at the expense of the counties?
It's always at the expense of the counties. Now, fortunately, in AB 109, the state is living up to its bargain with us right now. On health realignment, though, with the advent of affordable health care, or the Obamacare, whatever you want to call it, the state wants to pull a significant amount of health realignment dollars back. On January 1st of 2014, they're saying, counties, you're not going to need that much money, so we want to pull a big chunk of it back, even though they're guaranteed for 3 years to have a stable amount of funding from the feds and the state. And counties are saying, right now, they're just saying no. We want a period of time to know whether we're going to have to use this on inmates, to know that other areas are being taken care of that have basically been left out there on an island and left to rot, basically.
So are all of these questions still kind of up in the air to the counties, like how all this is going to be funded?
Very much, not the AB 109, but on health realignment. Health realignment, yes. We're still negotiating with the state. The administration still wants to take a significant amount of money. We're saying, hold on, you have 3 years, guaranteed stable funding. Why pull that money now? We have areas that have been ignored for the past 5 years that need funding in counties, and we need to see that those areas are fully funded before you pull any funds back.
Okay, and let me see if I can ask a question too. Are some states, I know California opted in really quickly in the Obamacare, but in some states where they're not opting in for that change in Medicare and things like that, are are they facing the same problem that we're looking at, or do we share a different one because we are opted in?
Well, every state that opts in, they have their personal choices what they're going to do. Now, the
Okay.
administration wanted to have all counties run their own programs and have 58 health care programs out there. Counties fought that and said, no, you're managing it now. There's one administration doing it. Why have 58 different programs doing it differently in all 58 counties? So the administration has backed off that. They have not backed off wanting to take a significant amount of that health realignment dollars that are going to come in through the Affordable Health Care Act. So anyway, it's
Okay,
there's a
big
lot
item.
to discuss there.
Yeah.
By the way, Amador County, I was looking at it, and Amador County actually gets about $1.25 million for 12-13, and for 13-14 about $1.46 million for this AB 109 Public Safety Realignment allocation. That's actually more than Colusa County, significantly more than Colusa County. It's more than Calaveras County. It's all based on your numbers and the impacts on your counties. So while Calaveras is building a new jail, their
Okay.
impacts aren't as great at this time as Amador County.
And once again, quickly, is that realignment money going away too?
That realignment, you mean the AB 109 dollars?
Yes.
It's supposed to be a guarantee.
For
Well, it's in legislation that it's supposed to be a guarantee. We have seen the state and our legislators back away from those guarantees in the past.
okay, so that's something we have to keep an eye on. as
We
well.
definitely have to keep an eye on it, because without that, $1.5 million that our county would not be seeing next year in 13-14, a significant blow to our budget if that happens. So,
Okay.
we have a lot of other issues on the agenda. One is on the USDA Forest Service proposed planning rules. John Hoffman, our consultant on that, has made comments. Many of his comments are relative to the feds in their planning rule basically ignoring local jurisdictions. They're saying we want public and Indian representation and comments, and many of their comments totally ignore local elected officials and
I
jurisdictions.
think they want to be the officials.
I think that's the case, but we're going to make
It's a breakdown of county lines again.
yeah, we're going to make 2.5 pages of comments though, in relative to comments like that and some
This
other
would be
areas.
a good meeting to attend.
Yeah, and also we have this is going to be a big one. The alternative selection for the Fiddletown Road and Shenandoah Road intersection improvement that's taking place. The county cannot apply for these because we already have projects on the shelf that we're working on, but there are two alternatives here. The City of Plymouth is actually going to be the applicant. The county will build the project, though, because it's actually in county jurisdiction. So we have about $1.5 million you can apply for. There's under the two alternatives. One of them exceeds the $1.5 million. So that's not very favorable to the board because the applicant actually has to come up with that money. And City of Plymouth, it shouldn't be favorable to them. They want to cut that road down by a little bit. We're not sure they can do that, the improvements that are going to be made to make it affordable. But actually the way it's designed, it would make Shenandoah Road going to Fiddletown only one road then, and have a turn coming down and merging into Shenandoah Road. So that'll be a big discussion tomorrow. I'm sure the Plymouth reps will be on hand. And then we have
before you go over there, Alan, we're just going to run through the last break because I used a lot of Richard's time there. Go ahead, Richard.
Okay. We have a planning department grant that we're going to try to apply for from PG&E, and this involves our general plan, but we actually have to make some additions to the general plan on greenhouse gas emissions and how our county is going to deal with that. One way we can do it is put in how we're going to deal with businesses and try to make it business friendly so that they can actually do the requirements necessary to meet the greenhouse gas emission requirements that are out there. But if we can get free money from PG&E, it's something we have to do anyway, but if we can concentrate on giving a benefit to our local business community, then it's probably a good use for our money. The board will have plenty of discussion on that. And then we'll have, as I said, the review of the health realignment budgets with Chuck Eiley, our CAO, And then the Water Supply Fund Administration Eligibility and Criteria Policy. This used to be the Water Development Fund. We're actually going to change this now. It has about over $4 million in the account right now. So we're actually going to, we've modified the document slightly. We're looking for adoption by the board of the new document that's been modified. Tom Hoover, former manager of Jackson Valley Irrigation District, Gene Mancebo, manager of the Water Agency, and myself met on this. Frankly, we've met on this for about 15 years at different times to modify it. The last time was about 5 years ago. Modifications were made but never adopted. So now we've actually met again, made modifications. We've actually inserted wastewater in here, and we've inserted going into substandard systems and allowing use of the Water Development Fund money. And we're really stressing it should be on a loan basis, not a grant basis, because otherwise this fund will get depleted very quickly. So you have a lot of money in there, but you know, $4 million doesn't last long when you have multi-million-dollar projects. We have a U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. The board will probably take a position opposing their request to list, I don't know if it'll make any difference, but they want to list the Sierra Nevada yellow-legged frog, the Northern District population segment of the mountain yellow-legged frog, and the Yosemite toad now as endangered species. All they're trying to do is capture more of our ground and make it so that no one can do anything on this ground. Frankly, this is a bunch of hogwash coming from our feds, from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. It just shouldn't be done. These toads and frogs are so prevalent in our society, it's just ridiculous. And Supervisor Brian Ornetto will discuss the Assembly Bill 52, which is the Native American Historic Resource Protection Act. They're actually trying to expand this act and make it even more difficult for people to develop. They want to send it to the state, to different state agencies to have more work done on this. The Office of Planning and Research, which is one of the worst agencies in our state government, all they do is make more paperwork and make more rules and regulations.
I don't know much about this.
Yeah, they make more rules and regulations. We also have two public hearings that may be held over for about 30 days if the applicant doesn't provide the information that's been requested. That's coming from George Allen from our surveying office.
Okay, well, certainly is a lot of worthwhile stuff on the board agenda. Right. If you care to find out more, I'd attend. And Alan, why don't I see if I can just get on over to the weather map and see if we can do that, okay? Thank you, Richard.
All right,
and we're going to take a look at our weather. And once again, it's a beautiful day out there, and I think it's going to stay that way with our temperature, a high of 84, the low of 57, winds out of the west 6 to 8 miles an hour. On Tuesday, sunny high of 83 with a low of 58, winds out of the northwest 5 to 9 miles an hour. And on Wednesday, sunny high of 83 with a low of 56. And I still have a little bit more time. We're just going to go to our break, and we'll see you again next time right here on TSPN.
You're watching Amador County's #1 news and sports leader, TSPN.